What's up everybody, Jusky here, and I just wanted to go over quickly that there were some hot fixes today on the PTR for Diablo 3 patch 2.0.1, and one of those hot fixes was we can now earn Paragon experience and gain Paragon levels being level 60, those of us who don't have the Reaper of Souls closed beta. So I'm uploading a separate video here on YouTube that shows part of my farming session where I actually gained a Paragon level and went from Paragon level 136 to 137. So I'll put a link to that video down in the description underneath this one. But that is one of the hotfixes that were implemented earlier today on the PTR for patch 2.0.1. Also, another change that they implemented was that we can now only have level 60 items drop and not level 61, because when the PTR first launched, items that were level 61 were dropping, and those of us who who are not in the closed beta for Reaper of Souls and only in the open PTR for patch 2.0.1 cannot get past level 60. So when these level 61 items were dropping, they had a little lock on them, much like you saw when you were leveling up your character from 1 to 60 in vanilla Diablo 3, and we weren't able to use those items. So thankfully on the PTR now, items that are level 61 will no longer drop, and we'll only have level 60 items. Okay, also these were not hot fixes, but just as a piece of information now, the Diablo fans website has put up more information about new set items, and if I could just show you quickly here, so let's load it up. Alright, talking about the hot fixes, the monster density was also adjusted in Act 1, and an issue where crafting certain items caused the server to crash has been resolved. That has been resolved, sure, but there's also a bug right now that when you craft, I tried crafting Archon Spaulders of Intelligence, the shoulders from the old Archon plans, and I tried 2 times now, once yesterday and once today, and both times I didn't get my item. I didn't get the Archon Spaulders, but the materials were still used in the crafting, the materials and the gold. So that's a bug that they hopefully will address pretty soon. And also, as I said, the set item bonuses. So let's take a look at these real quick. The Natalia set, the Demon Hunter set, 5 pieces, gives you now the cooldown on Rain of Vengeance is reduced by 1 second for every enemy you kill. That could be interesting. That could be a pretty interesting build for Demon Hunters to work around Rain of Vengeance if they wanted to, to try to make something work like that. So I think I'll be testing that out later if I if I ever do get the chance to get the Nat set. I have a Demon Hunter who was Paragon level 48, I think, on vanilla Diablo 3, so I can play on the Demon Hunter, and maybe I'll come across those pieces, but that would be cool to try that out. The new Talrasha set, finally Talrasha's set has been given some love here, but it's a pretty cool effect, but I still don't know if it's going to be enough to have somebody hunt for all 5 pieces of the Talrasha set. But first of all, before we talk about the full set bonus, you can see here that it got small buffs for the 2, 3, and 4 piece set. Previously, it was only fire skills, lightning kills, or skills, excuse me, or cold skills would only do 3% more damage. Now it's 5% more damage, so a tiny buff there, which is always good. And the change comes in the full 5-piece set. Now, when you damage enemies with arcane, cold, fire, or lightning, it will cause a meteor of the same damage type to fall from the sky. And then there's a 15-second cooldown for each damage type. So in other words, let's say I was just playing a Frost Wizard, and if I'm playing a Frost Wizard, every 15 seconds I'm going to have a Frost Meteor fall from the sky for free, basically. A free resource cost meteor would just fall. If I was playing an Arcane Wizard, I would just have an Arcane Meteor fall from the sky every 15 seconds. And say you were playing a multi-elementalist build where you had some arcane, some fire, or some cold and some fire, some arcane and some lightning, whatever. Every time you would alternate the damage type that you would be dealing, you could have those meteors fall from the sky. So if you timed it correctly, you could damage an enemy with fire, let's say, and have a fire meteor come down. So then as the fire meteor is in its 15-second cooldown, you can then start casting lightning spells, for example, and you'll have your lightning meteor come down, and then that'll start its 15-second cooldown. So then several seconds later you can go back to fire, do that, and have that meteor come down, and you can basically just alternate between fire and lightning. And if a wizard actually wanted to do a tri-elementalist build and do 3 elements, maybe you could actually cycle it so that you do arcane, you have an arcane meteor fall. While that's on cooldown, you do a cold, you have a cold meteor fall. And then while that's on cooldown, and in the meantime arcane is still on its cooldown, you could do a lightning damage spell, and then a lightning meteor will fall. And maybe by that point, after you cast your final lightning spell, arcane may be 1 or 2 seconds away from having its proc, from having its proc happening, that it would just come down, and then you can have an arcane meteor, and then you just cycle kind of like arcane cold lightning, and maybe have meteors come down that way. So that would be pretty cool. I think the Tal Rasha set opens up pretty good possibilities now for different types of builds. Next, we have the most OP set that I have ever seen in my life for Diablo 3. I don't know if this is going to be nerfed. I don't know if they're going to change this. If they leave it as is, actually, that would be pretty interesting. It would be pretty cool to see. I myself want this set badly now to see how this would actually work. I mean, this, if you could read it for yourself here. First of all, the elite damage and reduction has been buffed. So now, when you have 3 pieces of Blackthorn's armor, you increase your damage versus elites by 10%, up from 6%. That's huge. A 10% boost to elite damage, that's just unbelievable. It's 1/3 of a perfect Stone of Jordan. So that's really awesome. Then you have on the 4-piece, reduces damage from elites by 10%. The Chantoto set for wizards, the old Chantoto set, if you had both, reduced damage from elites by 7%, and that was pretty cool. This is actually 10% elite reduction, and it used to be 7%, but now it's 10, so that's really cool. And then this, here's the kicker. This is the gem of the whole thing. The full 5-piece Blackthorn's armor makes you immune to Desecrator, Molten, and Plagued monster types. I don't even know if I have to say anymore. I mean, that's unbelievable, and I want the Blackthorn set. Then we have Ashira's Vestments, a 4-piece set that allows your followers occasionally to come to your aid. So that is interesting. How is that going to work? Is that going to, like, let's say you have a scoundrel with you. Is that going to allow the Enchantress and or the Templar to just jump in randomly, like out of nowhere, and start attacking and then be dismissed after a certain amount of time? I mean, that's how I'm reading it. I think that's what's going to happen. And it would be also interesting to see how that would work in a multiplayer game. Let's say someone has a 4-piece Ashira set on, and they're in multiplayer, and obviously in multiplayer you aren't able to have your follower with you. Would your followers then come and aid you in battle in a multiplayer game? That would be interesting to see. If that was the case, that would be a cool feature. Sage's Journey just doubles the chance to find demonic essences. Nothing great there, but I guess that's a pretty nice bonus that wasn't there before. Arcane Wraps, this is a pretty cool one. 2 pieces give you 500 intelligence, which is nice, up from the original 130 base stat increase from most sets that we saw in vanilla Diablo 3. This 2-piece Arcane Wrap set gives you 500 intelligence, and then the interesting part comes with the 4-piece set. The 4-piece set enables all Archon runes. So is that all Archon runes simultaneously? In other words, you transform into an Archon, and all of a sudden you have the power to slow time, teleport, improved Archon, whatever else it is. I forget the other. Cooldown reduction. Do you have all that at once, or is it something that enables all Archon runes from the moment that Archon is unlocked? So in other words, I think it's at level 30 Archon unlocks. Is this only something that would be used to level up? And let's say as soon as you get Archon, you have the improved Archon, the last rune on the list, and able to be selected and used there. So I don't know if it's a level 60 or a level 70 set, then obviously it means that all the Archon runes would be active simultaneously, and if that's the case, that would be really cool. So I'm interested in seeing that. The Monkey King set is obviously for a monk. It says for 2 pieces, while a combat staff is equipped, all damage is increased by 20%. That's a pretty nice buff. And then yes, it is for a monk here, because you can see on the 4-piece set, spending 75 spirit causes a decoy to spawn that taunts nearby enemies and then explodes for 100% weapon damage as holy. So that's a pretty nice feature. It's a pretty good way to tank, I guess. Have a taunt go and damage enemies. So that's pretty cool. Witch Doctor damage over time set. Again, the 500 intelligence boost, the increased mana regeneration, and then on the 6-piece set, Soul Harvest consumes your damage over time effects on enemies, instantly dealing their remaining damage. So that's pretty awesome burst damage for a Witch Doctor to be able to do that. I think we're going to see a lot of damage over time Witch Doctors emerge with this set, so that'll be cool to see. The new Demon Hunter set. In the 2-piece, it's 500 dexterity. The 4-piece companion calls all companion types to your side, and then the 6-piece set, sentries cast your equipped hatred spenders. So yeah, that's a pretty build changing set there. So this one, the Phoenix set, I'm hoping that this is for all classes, but it seems like it may not be. It might be just for Crusader, for example, but I'm not sure. Hopefully it is. Oh no, it couldn't be for Crusader because it's plus 500 intelligence for 2 pieces. So maybe I guess it's a wizard. I don't know. It is probably wizard because it procs a meteor here. So wizard gets more love here in another set. Besides the arcane wrappings and the Talrasha improvements, we have the Phoenix set, I guess, which is for a wizard. 2 pieces give you 500 intelligence. 4 pieces. When you die, a meteor falls from the sky and revives you. This effect has a 300-second cooldown, so for hardcore mode, this is what you want. 300 seconds is a pretty long cooldown. It's 4 minutes, but it's still pretty cool when you can have something like, you know, something to revive you, like kind of a second chance. So there's also that amulet in Reaper of Souls that revives you but destroys the amulet in the process when you die. So if you can get that amulet plus the 6-piece Phoenix set plus Unstable Anomaly, let's say, or if you can equip this on a Witch Doctor, you could use Spirit Vessel, you'd have you basically have 4 lives. You'd have 3 chances to die before you would actually die permanently. So that's a pretty cool, you know, pretty cool set there. Istvan's Paired Blades. 2 pieces. Every time you spend the primary resource, you gain 10% increased attack speed for 5 seconds. This effect stacks up to 5 times, so pretty fast animations there on the attacking, I'm sure we'll be seeing. Bastions of Will, 2-piece set. Your resource spenders deal 50% more damage while you're at full resource, so that's pretty cool. Here's a new Crusader set. The 2-piece is 500 strength. The 4-piece is reduced the cost of all abilities by 50% while Akarat's champion is active. So that's pretty nice. And then the 6-piece set reduces the cooldown of Akarat's champion by 50%. And then the monk has a new lightning set. I guess, you know, if you want to go lightning monk, here's your set. 500 dexterity for the 2-piece. 4 pieces adds 15% to lightning damage, and 6 pieces reduces the cooldown of Akarat's champion by 50%. I don't think so. That, like Diablo fan says here, that's probably a placeholder. So they most likely don't have the 6-piece set for the monk lightning set implemented yet. So anyway, those are the changes that have come into, I guess, it's in the Reaper of Souls beta client. So I don't know if it's actually implemented into Reaper of Souls, all these new sets yet, but I know that the hotfixes are implemented because, like I said, I did actually rank up. I got a Paragon level, and I did notice the increased monster density in Act 1. I just got done an Act 1 farming session, and I noticed that the monsters were a bit more dense, so that's very good. But yeah, what I'm going to do now is go back to my arcane build, and I'm going to farm for a bit more, try to find a new legendary, and if I find something that can be build changing, I will try to make a build around it, and I'll make another video showcasing that build. So until next time, guys, I hope you enjoyed my video. Make sure if you enjoy my content, and there will be plenty more of it coming for Diablo 3 on the PTR, please subscribe. You could see it down below here. And also check out my live streams at twitch.tv/JuskyRain. Alright, take care everybody. Peace out.